I invite Elmer Friedrich up to share a story of faith and generosity.
Good morning. I'm not selling barbecue today. My name's Elmer Friedrich. I'm on the Stewardship Committee, and various members of the Stewardship Committee are going to give a small spiel every Sunday for the next couple of Sundays. Tell you a little bit about my history and how I view stewardship. I was born 11 miles west of Fredericksburg in a little community called Pecan Creek. It just had a school. There were no houses or anything like that special. I lived out on a farm or a ranch for the first 6 years of my life, and my daddy had skin cancer, so we ended up having to move to town because he had to get out of the sun. I could not speak English until I was 7 years old and went to school. There were 30 kids in our first grade. 18 of us couldn't speak English, and the teacher couldn't speak German. So the other kids had to tell us what she said, and then we were all right. I couldn't write an English sentence till I was in the third grade. I lived in Fredericksburg from 1942 until 1955 when I went to college. I lived right on Main Street, 807 West Main Street. Our house is now a jewelry store. I had 14 years of perfect attendance in Sunday school when I was 17 years old. I was a Luther League president of the church, and I attended Camp Chrysalis about the third year when it was in operation. I went there in 1954. And there were a lot of pastors that went at that same time. Pastor in Antwerp, a bunch of the ones that were in Llano, all over the place. They were all at camp. I didn't attend church when I went to college, but then when I got married and we had our first daughter, we started attending because we wanted her to go to Sunday school class. We attended Christ Lutheran Church, where Taylor is now the pastor, and we stayed there until 1977. I was on the church council where the financial portion of stewardship began to make some sense. You can't run a church without money. My wife and I were youth sponsors for 9 years. Wayne Schaefer and Cora Bridges at the time, sorry Cora, I don't know your married name, were members of our Luther League and are now retired and old enough to be retired and go to church here. We came to the old church parking lot in April or February of 1977, went back, parked behind the church. There weren't any cars. What did we have wrong? Well, Pastor Tim came across from the parsonage that was there and said, it's daylight savings, you're an hour early. We have been busy ever since. I served on the church council. I'm a member of the Stewardship Committee. I was president of the congregation when we built this church, and we built it for $750,000. Interest rate was 18%, so we came up with an idea of financing the church within our own congregation. We offered loans at 12% rather than 18%. And every time we raised $200,000, we'd start another phase of the church. We started with the gym first, and my wife paid in a country western polka band. We'd get in from a dance job, and at 8 o'clock we'd be here, and she'd be playing her accordion as an organ. And when we raised another $200,000, we'd start another phase. Every Saturday, 35 men showed up, and we finished the inside of the church. One old man came up, he says, I can't do any construction work, but I can broom. And he picked up all the trash, so we didn't have things to stumble over. But there's where the stewardship program really comes in. I worked for a defense contractor in Austin, 20 years as sales manager for their medical area. We sold audiometers for testing your hearing. And then 20 years as a contract administrator between our company and the government. We sold defense countermeasures for fighter aircraft. Very interesting job. I looked up some statistics and found out that Lutherans only give 2 to 2.5% of their take-home pay as offerings for churches. You can't operate a church on 2%. So I was determined I'd like to get, I don't know if I'd make 10%, but I'd make a little more. So I finally got up to the point where I had it at 7%. Well, then I retired in 2006. My income now went way down. And I started in, I don't know, maybe about 3 or 4%, something like that. And every year I've raised it $5. Well, I'm pleased to say I'm up to 6% again. So I keep going. I'm still eating, still buying stuff I want. So it's a method that I'm suggesting you look at, because that $5, you're not going to miss it that much. If you all of a sudden say, oh, I'm going to give $100 more, you'll miss that. But that $5, and it takes a little while, but you'll get up to what I'm at now is at 6%. And then I kind of cheat a little bit on my pledge. I pledge so much for each one of the items, the general fund, the building fund, the fund for future repairs, and then our special offering. I give $20 to $25 every time somebody dies as a memorial. That helps me get over what I pledged. So you might try this. I don't know if it'll work for you. It works for me. But our church will be more healthy and will hopefully keep growing like it is now. So that's my input on stewardship. You'll hear some others before this is all over with. Thank you.